This is Mina Nicole, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Talk It Out Tuesday. On this Tuesday, I have Enchantress Carter. Who is that, you ask? Or you're going to find out. So today we are going to be talking about shooting your shot or shoot your shot, which is what everybody says today. So this is something I recently learned about. I know I feel old, but my sister always says, shoot your shot, shoot your shot. So I did some research, found out what it was, and I had to figure out what my own shot was. So we'll talk about that on today. But today, Miss Enchantress, she's a podcast host. She's a motivational speaker. She is just a Renaissance woman, and she is going to tell you all about shooting her shot and also about her new podcast as well too. So I met Miss Enchantress, funny story. I found her on Craigslist. A few years ago, I was looking for a bartender and I found her ad, and she has just been a part of my team for maybe 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. I don't know, but she is an awesome person. And fate would have it that I came across her flyer a few weekends ago, and when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. So it's like I had a hidden gem working with me all the time. So I am very excited about what she's doing. I'm very proud of her. So we'll go ahead and get into it, and I'll have Miss Enchantress introduce herself and just tell us about your journey as a podcast host.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Enchantress. I am a mom of 3. I recently started my podcast in November of 2020. So it was during the pandemic, and I think a lot of us kind of realized like our callings or kind of gotten the courage to move forward. And that's where my show, Enchanted Soul Radio, started. Or why it started was really me having some time to kind of quiet down because everything was shut down for a minute, and discover what it was that I wanted to do. And I thought that was a great time to really go after what I was called to do, which is motivate people, help people heal, and really live their best life.
I love it. So when did you realize that helping people heal and motivate people, when did you know that that was your passion?
Oddly enough, it was very early in life. And I think a lot of us kind of know this when we're really young. As far as I can remember, I was 8 years old when I knew I wanted to do something that was dealing with helping people.
And at what point did you decide to shoot your own shot and create Enchantress Soul Radio?
So, as I said, it was during the pandemic. Initially, I was looking into starting something in 2019. And things at that time, I was in a very toxic kind of relationship, which hindered me. And I actually speak about that on my podcast show of detaching from negativity in order to move forward with what it is that you're called to do. And the show really started off from a point of rejection, actually. Initially, I was asked to be a part of a podcast with 3 other young women. And the show went great. Like our first episode, the launch date was awesome. I felt really great. I felt in my heart that this was really what I was supposed to do. And then a week later, the ladies contacted me and said they didn't want me to be a part of the show anymore. So at that time, I felt like God or the universe, I heard loud and clear, like, keep going. And I kept that momentum. I did not take a break from that. It wasn't anything of me. Like, you know how sometimes you shut down, like, oh my God, they rejected me. That didn't happen with me. I instantly like hit the ground running with doing all the research I needed to do to start my own podcast. So the next week, I never brought up to anyone. So this will be the first time people are hearing this. So I never brought up like, oh, the show that I was just on kicked me off. But I kept going, and I was very much embraced. And that was kind of like a confirmation that I was doing the right thing.
How has your journey been as a podcast host thus far?
It's been amazing. It's I have moments where I tear up because not everyone, I do my podcast a little different. So I allow people to call in and chime in at the end of the call. Some people are a little, stage frightened. So they will inbox me or send me a message, and let me know how the show touched them and what they personally are going through. So it's always like constant confirmation. And some people don't always agree, but I think having that intellectual dialogue is really good for our community, to get towards healing and moving on to a better life.
I really agree with that. So you stepping out on your own kind of worked out for you in the end.
Absolutely. So,
Awesome.
but I mean, because honestly, that podcast that I was kicked off of doesn't even exist anymore, and that was just like 3 months ago.
Wow. So if not for that rejection, you wouldn't have stepped out and created your own.
Absolutely. And I always say, like, the rejection is your protection. And I really felt like that protected my path. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
I like that. Rejection is your protection. I love that. I love that. And I think once people kind of get that concept together, I think they won't be as afraid to try stuff. Try stuff initially, and then if it doesn't work out, okay, well, let me go this way. So I think that's what hinders a lot of people, the fact that they're afraid of rejection, they're afraid of the embarrassment, they're afraid of the failure, but that's what helps you grow.
Absolutely. I agree.
And so doing some research on shooting your shot and just even talking to you about this whole theory of shooting your shot. So I looked in the Urban Dictionary. So the Urban Dictionary says shooting your shot is to be brave and having the audacity, which to me, that's nerve, to do something that might be embarrassing. So that thing that you feel like you're going to throw up if you do it, or you might be outed on social media, something like that, that's your shot. And before I even came to you with this whole topic of shooting your shot, I had to really think, what is my shot? What is something that I need to do that will make me step outside of myself? And I shared with you offline, I'm trying to pursue a business deal, if you will. And I was just nervous about it. It's totally out of my character, but I had to approach an individual regarding this business deal, and it went better than I thought. I didn't get rejected or anything like that, and they were open to the idea. So it's still kind of in the works. I'll tell you about that later. But the fact that I was able to get my nerve up to just make the call and just ask a question, that was it. It started with a question, and after I did it, I felt better. Whether it went my way or it didn't, I felt good knowing that at least I tried at the end of the day. And I mean, even with this whole podcast and Facebook and YouTube thing I'm doing, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I just put it out there. Didn't know if anybody was going to listen to me. Didn't know if I was going to embarrass myself. But here we are today. So this whole shooting your shot thing, where did this even come from or start from, or if you even know?
Yes. So for my introduction to shoot your shot was from social media. People sliding in DMs was what it was basically like. So I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna shoot my shot. If he say no, he say no. If she say no, she says no. And it is what the Urban Dictionary says as far as like just having the audacity to just go after it. And but I think it definitely does apply to all aspects of life, not just dating or seeking companionship from people.
I agree with that. And just thinking about the topic, and again, in conversation with you, you were asking, well, what direction do you want it to go in? And as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, well, this could really be applied to a whole gamut of things. My husband always says, a closed mouth don't get fed. So it's like you can't be afraid to ask. You can't be afraid to just, come outside of yourself and ask those hard questions. So when you decided to step out and start your own podcast, what was going through your head during those beginning stages of getting ready for that first episode?
Oh my goodness. It was definitely nervousness. I don't know how everyone's going to take me. Remember, I said I started with a group of 4, including myself. So will I be able to carry the show by myself? Will people receive what I'm saying? Just really fear of, if the way that I'm intending to deliver it, will it be received that way? But then excitement at the same time, like this could really work. Like this, I feel deep down that this is what people really need.
And what are some of the topics do you talk about?
My first episode was detaching from negativity. And the reason for that is it really had a lot to do with me stepping out into shooting my shot with the podcast. That was the main thing that I knew that people have to do in order to kind of succeed in life. Because if you're not detaching from negativity, then you're keeping yourself in this stagnant space, and it's not a good space to flourish. So detaching from negativity, I talk about childhood trauma. I talk about relationship goals, Black love. Tonight I have an episode that I'm doing, how to not turn cold in a world full of savages. So it's really just
I love the topics.
Yeah.
I love the topics.
Yeah. So it's really just ways to, I'm trying to encourage people to flourish and really own their personality, who they are, and walk in their path, like walk in their truth.
And listening to some of your podcasts, you always talk about manifest that shit. What is that? What is that? And how does that apply to your life on a daily basis? I have to hear this.
Okay, so manifest that shit. That's probably my favorite hashtag. So I just feel like manifesting is shifting your mindset, making sure that you believe in what it is that you want to attract in your life, and focus on that. I feel like everything is energy, so whatever you put your energy into will expand, and that's what manifesting is. Basically putting all of your energy into what it is you actually want to attract, and that eventually will come your way.
And why is that important?
It's important because that your mindset is everything. The things that you manifest is mental. And if you can shift your mindset, then you will attract what it is that you actually want. If you don't, then we are subconsciously manifesting things. So we need to be intentional about it. If we're not intentional, then we kind of make ourselves susceptible to anything happening and kind of things going haywire, chaos, just not really having control of your life.
That was my next question too. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that people can do to manifest certain dreams or desires that they have in their life? And I think intentionality is one of them. I did a previous broadcast about intentions in January, and intentions are something that should drive you, because if you're not intentional, like you said, you just gonna end up where you end up, you know. But with intentions, there's more of a determination behind it, you know. And we were talking this past weekend about being a vegan and how now it's like you eat with intentions. So you're making better decisions. I'm not spending as much money in a grocery store because I go there intentionally looking for certain items. So I'm not all across the board, but intentions, even in business, even in life, you know, that's what's going to get you to where you need to be.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And along with all of the manifestation and the shooting your shot, what part do you think that regret plays into everything?
What part of regret? As far as me with shooting my shot, I have no regrets at all. And I think that's important for anybody to know. Like, you typically don't regret actually jumping out and believing yourself. The regret to me comes when you stay still and don't do anything. Um, there may be, yeah, it's just regret to me that comes into play when you're not believing in yourself and you stay still and you allow other people to influence the way you kind of move throughout your life.
That's interesting that you say that. And thinking about our questions today in our discussion, and I asked myself most of the same questions I write down to talk to my guests about. And one of the things was, I'm like, okay, what do I regret?
Mhm.
Is there anything in my life that I can honestly say that I regret? And honestly, like you, no, because I try and do as much as I can with, of course, prayer and consideration and stuff like that. And I have not failed at anything that I've tried to do. And I have friends, family members that look back. Here I am, 40 years old. They're around the same age, and they're like, I regret so much in my life. And that's because they didn't try it. They didn't do it, So, I mean, my regret is sitting wishing I woulda, coulda, shoulda. So that's something that I never want to have to do in my life, relationships, or in business.
I agree. I was speaking with someone, I remember this years ago, and they asked me what was my greatest fear. And I told them the only thing I fear, because I'm very adventurous, is not to live my life and it ends and me not to go after anything that, as far as my dreams and goals are concerned. I want to be able to say that I live life to the fullest potential, and I believed in myself and I made my mark and all of those great things.
Yes, ma'am. I agree with that. And what do you think are some things that our viewers could start doing that might be apprehensive about shooting that shot, whatever that shot is, to actually just kind of prepare themselves to actually do it?
I think, as I said with the first episode that I did on Enchanted Soul Radio, detaching from negativity is the first thing. Like, if you're surrounded by people who don't support you, who really kind of try to deter you from your goals whenever you're mentioning things, that may be someone you want to limit your time with. You definitely want to be very intentional with focusing on what it is that you want to do. Like you were saying, prayer is a big part of it. Meditation, kind of visualizing what it is that you want to attract, and doing things scared. I was very scared, and people could not tell when I did my first podcast. They were like, "Oh, you're a natural," and everything, but I was so nervous. And I think I even get like jitters with every episode. Like 10 minutes before the show, I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." But I still do it, and then I'm proud of myself in the end.
Right. And I think that's a good point, though. Like, you have to get yourself together. You have to get yourself together to do it. So before I bring anyone on to Zoom or whatever, I take a few minutes and I just say a quick prayer and I just center myself, and that's what helps me get through these 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And it's so important. So before I click anybody in, I'm getting myself together first.
That's funny. We actually have the same routine. I do a prayer before I log into the show as well, before I press air.
That's the only thing that gets you through. It is. And what are some tips and advice that you can give the people that might be afraid of the failure or the embarrassment, or the rejection, like you mentioned earlier, that comes with shooting your shot or taking that opportunity?
I think really focusing on like kind of sitting down and thinking about what your life would look like if you do not shoot your shot, and what it would look like, what's the best things that can possibly happen if I do shoot my shot, that will give you like the push you need. Because 9 times out of 10, the what it looks like if you do shoot your shot is far greater if you just stand still and not do it. And kind of put your goals in your face all the time. I'm writing on post-it notes. I've made collages in the house, like everything that's always forcing me, like keeping my dream in my face.
How can viewers follow you and listen to Enchanted Soul Radio?
Yes, so I'm excited. I have been able to get on pretty much all of the most popular streaming platforms. So Enchanted Soul Radio is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I'm also on Blogtalk Radio, which is where I do my live shows, and that's every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They can also follow me or follow the show at Enchanted Soul Radio on Facebook and Instagram. And my personal page is Enchantress the Goddess. So I welcome followers there as well.
And are you available to do like in-person or virtual, like motivational speaking engagements?
I am available for both, actually. And I'm really excited. I have a speaking engagement that I will be doing on May 16th in Atlanta, where I'm basically doing a live podcast episode, but it will be actually talking about going after your dreams. And I'm celebrating my 6-month anniversary of the podcast.
Awesome. So I know that's going to be big. That is definitely going to be big. And what is next for Enchantress Carter?
Oh, what's next? I am working on a book right now.
Okay.
It is called The Girl Who Escaped Death. So the reason that the podcast even exists is to, like I said, help people heal. So the book is a series of different life experiences that I've went through that typically people would think would just totally kill you, whether it's metaphorically or literally things happening to you. So the steps that I took to really accomplish my goals and how I overcame all of those things. So I really just want to focus solely on sharing my story with people and hoping that that can help them overcome what it is that they need to overcome.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited for you. I'm excited with everything that you have going on. And I am definitely looking forward to hearing more from you. So everyone, check out Enchantress Carter. You can follow her on all platforms. I'll have her information at the end of this broadcast, but definitely check out Enchanted Soul Radio. You would not be disappointed. I've listened in on a few podcast episodes and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you all, as always, for watching this episode of Talk It Out Tuesday. And I am Mina Nicole, and we will see you on next Tuesday.
Thank you.